Hello and welcome back to The Lion's Den, the only podcast that's becoming a tech reviewing channel, I think, slowly but surely. Anyway, I'm your host Matt as always, and I just wanted to make a small announcement. I've been looking at the analytics of this podcast on YouTube, and obviously it's quite a difficult place to do a podcast, YouTube, right? So it's been a weird phenomenon where for a fair few weeks now I've just had 0 views on my videos, and normally I do get like 3-4 videos on a video, which is great. That's more than happy to just know that people are enjoying the content. But I'm worried that something's happened that means that people just aren't interested anymore, or maybe YouTube has just destroyed my impressions. So I don't know what's happening, but if the trend continues, I will probably put this podcast to rest, and I will probably aim for about 150 episodes just so it's a nice round number. But fingers crossed. If you want to keep seeing more of this, please share it with people. Please watch it. Please show me that there is an interest for this. Anyway, today I want to talk about some technology. I want to talk about tablets again because it's just a whole thing, right? Buying a new tablet for me. And I want to just walk you through where I'm at currently. And maybe some people are in a similar situation. So let's see what we can do. So the last thing I think I told you about tablets is my mother took my advice on a tablet to buy because she really needed a new one, and I suggested to her the Samsung Tab S6 Lite. Bit of a mouthful, but that's what I suggested. Now this is the lowest entry Samsung tablet currently that has a pen. That's the key point, but it's been a much nice upgrade for her. The screen's probably a little bit better. It still has familiar things like the same screen size. It's still 60 hertz. The software's newer, which is good. The processor's better, which is good. And it's been, I think, exactly what she needed, to be honest. So that's one thing. I, on the other hand, wanted it to be like, I want to be a bit naughty and like try out the pen, because that's what I'd been looking for in the tablet space. Was I wanted to look for a tablet with a pen. And at first initial impression, I wasn't happy with it. I didn't like how it felt. I thought it was really resistive when you try and draw on a screen. I didn't think it was very smooth at all, and it was just not what I was hoping for, considering everybody reviewed it really highly. What I've now found out is I was just not doing it right. Surprise, surprise. The pen is weird in the sense that if you use the very tip of the stylus on the screen, there is so much resistance. You really feel the rubber, it really grips the screen, and it's not good at all. But if you tilt the pen slightly and use the side of the tip, much better. It's much more fluid, it's much smoother, there's less resistance, and it feels a lot closer to drawing on a computer tablet rather than drawing on a glass screen with an eraser, essentially, would be the best description. So I'm very happy that that's good. I did a whole just like 5-10 minute sketch on the tablet, and it felt great, felt really nice, and I was really happy with it. So that's fingers crossed. So to me, the pen is now resolved. It's a good thing. I do like it, and I could definitely get used to drawing with it. The problem now is, which one do I buy? Because essentially there are 4 tablets that I could look at. I could look at the S6 Lite and get the same thing. I could look at the next step up, which is the S7 FE, or I could go even further to the S8, or I could jump all the way to the very tippy top, that's the brand new Tab S9. Now, I just want to kind of go over the differences between them and sort of explore what might be the best option. So let's just start off with the 2 camps. You've got the S7 and the S6, and you've got the S8 and the S9. The main difference between the 2 of them is the screen and the processing power. So on both the S7 and the S6, they have a 60 hertz screen, which is like TVs, computers, all of that jazz. And the S8 and the S9 have 120 hertz displays, which is a lot like more modern smartphones. A lot of newer smartphones are having more high refresh rate screens. This is good in 2 different ways. So if you look at the S7 and the S6, it's only 60 hertz, which is more than enough. It's perfectly fine. We were used to it, and it should hopefully be gooder. It should hopefully be better for battery life, and it's not as hard for the computer, for the tablet to drive 60 hertz. On the other end, the 120 hertz looks amazing. I really love the fluidity of my phone, which is 90 hertz, and 120 is just as smooth. Really nice. And it's also slightly better for drawing because the perceived difference between where you use the pen and the computer tablet drawing what you do is much closer. It's almost 1-to-1, which to a human, it's almost unperceivable. So that is a huge tick in terms of that. But obviously, more frames, 120 hertz, is more for the tablet to drive, possibly worse battery life, but we'll come back to that, we'll compensate for it. The other factor then is performance, and all 4 of these are in a different performance category. So I've pulled up on my computer the Antutu benchmark, and I think the S6 one is wrong, because I think that's the old version. Let me just see if I can fix that. Okay, that's better. I had the old version. That's another thing to mention is with the S6 Lite, there are 2 versions. There's the original 2020 model, and then there's the updated 2022 model. If you're looking at either of them, make sure it's the 2022 model. Otherwise, the performance of the 2020 model is going to suck. The way you can differentiate them is if you go onto a place called GSM Arena, lovely people, you can look at tablets, phones, lots of stuff on there and find the specs of them. Look up the version you want and look at the model number, because most websites, online retailers should list the model number, and that will tell you which version you're getting, because sometimes they put in the title that it's the 2022 version, sometimes they don't. So always check the model number. That's Matt's top tip. So in terms of performance, the S6 Lite is sitting at about 325,000 points in an Antutu benchmark. You then jump up to just shy of 500,000 with the S7 FE, and then we rocket to just over 1 million with the S8. So if you're looking at just these numbers, and hopefully they are fairly similar, the S6 to the S7 is about a 30% jump in performance, or maybe a bit more than that, 30 to 40% jump. From the S7 to the S8, it's like 100% jump in performance. It's massive. And then from the S8 to the S9, you go from 1 million to 1.25 million. So that's like about another 25% on top. So realistically, in terms of this benchmark alone, there is a massive difference between the S7 and the S8. So if the price gap wasn't huge between those two, you should definitely be going for the S8, because like I said, yeah, it's got the nice high refresh screen and that might cause performance issues, but it won't, because they crammed a really powerful chip into it, as evidenced by these scores. If you're looking between the S8 and the S9, again, the only reason to go for the S9 is it's slightly newer, so it'll be supported a little bit longer, but the performance is not a massive jump up. Again, it depends kind of on workload, but in general day-to-day use, you're not going to massively see a huge difference. The only thing you might see is that like in 3-4 years, the S9 might be pulling its weight a bit better because it's just got more raw power today. So, because that's kind of an unfortunate thing with Android devices, they do slow down just because the software isn't as tightly integrated. I think if you can go from the S6 to the S7, it will be a sizable bump. Because I definitely know with benchmarks, it's like exponential. The like bottom end, jumping up a little bit in the bottom end is a lot of performance. And then when you're up at the upper echelons like the S8 and the S9, the difference between them isn't going to be massive. I imagine the S9 will be really good if you want to do like gaming stuff. I imagine it'll be much better for things in that wheelhouse than the S8. But both of them are still going to be screaming fast. To me, it comes down to price. So like off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure the S6 is about 330, 340 in the UK. I think currently there's a deal for the S7 going at about 480. So that's 150 odd more than the S6. But obviously you are quite close to that £500 threshold. So you have to be a bit careful. The S8 I definitely know is on sale right now for 650. So going from like 480 to 650, again, that's like a £170 jump, but the difference between those two tablets in terms of raw performance and features is massive, so I think that's definitely a worthy upgrade. The S9 is brand new, so there's no sales on it, and it's about 800 for the box standard S9. And again, the difference between the S8 and the S9, I really don't think is going to be that big. You can look at benchmarks and numbers, but day-to-day performance is not going to be wildly different between the two. It'll just be more about considering future-proofing. So if you've got the money to splurge on the S9, I'd go for it. Otherwise, the S8 is more than competent, more than capable. It's then how much, either way you want to go, right? Can you live with just an S6? Is that adequate? Do you want to go for a bit more? I think for me, my baseline probably is going to be that S7 FE, because I think I just want a bit more performance than that base model. And then it's whether I'm willing to make the jump to the S8 in the end. That's where I've been, basically, is debating the differences between tablets. It's great fun. Love it. Either way, hope you've all enjoyed listening. Stay safe, and I'll see you all next week. Bye!